I can't lock the rate now in January for June, July. You know, no lending institution can, exactly, yes.
Technically, we cannot close on an apartment until the sponsor starts the process, or?
Yeah, we
once
can't
have a
close
mortgage, we
until they say, you know, until we can, you know, that June, July date. However, we can lock the rate, you know, 2 months before that process. And if everything works smoothly, it might be very quick where it's like, you know, March 31st, in that March period, you have to give them the money, they have to come up with the contract signed and everything like that. We start at the next, you know, week or two in April and start closing, boom, right in June. And then people are starting to go in. And you know, if things are, you know, they should be approved for the closings, but we're not gonna take rates away from people, you know, that, oh, it's a little too busy for the lawyer or something like that here next week. We've been very accommodating in the past and continue to do so, yes.
Knowing all the technicalities with the particular situation we're in, are you guys committed to writing mortgages for this deal?
Yeah.
For every talk louder.
In other words,
Okay,
if
he asked if
you
we're committed to
qualify.
writing mortgages for this deal.
Yes.
In other words, knowing the peculiarities of the building.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the
You got-
building, we're totally fine with knowing the insides and outs.
Right, you know.
We've done the,
In other
you
words, so
know,
if you qualify.
I've read that 4 million page thing,
Right.
you know, I brought it to the big bosses,
Well, I
I
mean,
got
if
it
you-
approved.
If you qualify, you're gonna write a mortgage.
Oh, yeah, there's no issues with the building complex at all, according to Amalgamated Bank. We're fine, okay, so, yeah, say that,
Many banks that want to lend
because of the ground lease, yeah, but that was okay with us, yeah. Him first. I'll repeat this question.
Eric, could you go over some scenarios with your bank, and but generally with banks, once a commitment letter has been issued? Once a commitment letter has been issued, can you mention a few things that could stop from a mortgage being written? Once a commitment letter has been issued, in your case and in general, what are some of the circumstances that would lead a banker to deny mortgage?
Okay, the question is, it's like once you get an approval from us, what are some circumstances that could change that from being a yes to a no? The most common one would be loss of job.
Okay.
The second one is unable to come up with the down payment. We have spoken with many of you. Some people are expecting money from overseas. Some people are expecting money from relatives. And you know, oh, grandma bailed out. You know, she's not giving me $50,000, and now I don't have, you know, and now I don't have the money I thought I did. And then you're in the hands of the sponsors whether or not they give you your money back. Okay, so that's really what I've come across. You know,
Only those two, or are there any? Can you enumerate?
if you go out and you know go crazy on your credit and have a big spending spree for some reason, I can't think of any. Those are like, if you're acting normal, it really have to be something extraordinary to get you not approved on this deal, which if you think about it is gonna over time, you know, could make you hundreds of thousands of dollars, or just be a nice place that you want to live. You know, one or the other for you people. But there is no. The banks want to write the loans. Okay, if you think about the commitment that the bank is making to the building, you know, and honestly, myself personally, it's going to be 7 months of work before we close one loan. You know, and I get paid on what closes. Okay, so it's 7 months of hoping, you know, that everything goes through smoothly. But that's the commitment the bank has, you know, to the process, to everyone, and that's why we're here, you know, tonight. I met with some of you late on Tuesday night. I live on Long Island. I took the 10:08 train home, you know, so the bank's pretty committed to get this done, okay? There's no other reason for us to be involved. Yes?
Do you send the loans to other banks, to other mortgage institutions or not?
We do not. The question was, do we sell our loans to anyone else? The answer is no. And that's the reason we can do these loans, is because right now, Amalgamated Bank has no investors, okay? The bank's been around 90 plus years, so a 30-year mortgage doesn't scare us away. And we don't sell to Fannie Mae or the government either. If you do the research on us, we have a lot of like assets right now as well, a lot of money to spend because we've had an infusion of some investors buy into the bank in the past 5 years, giving us like $100 million to play with, you know. I'm sure they wouldn't want to say play with on the tape, but you know, to use in an expeditious good manner. Yes?
Is there a percentage of the apartments you're, like that you have to cap? Like,
No, I don't have a cap.
you could theoretically fund 100% of the people who are buying your
I
apartment.
theoretically could,
Okay.
yes, okay? Yeah.
When we come to see you, what do you want us to provide?
Okay, good question. When you come to see me, what do you want me to provide? The number one thing would be income documents, okay? Especially if your situation is you work for yourself, or you have income coming in through Social Security, pensions, things like that. So your tax returns would be like the number one thing, and if you have a recent pay stub, that'd be very helpful as well.
How many pay stubs? One, two?
Well, when you do the mortgage, I'll need a month eventually to get the pre-approval. If you have one that's recent, it kind of gives like a year to date, and one that represents your like normal week, you know. We have had people bring in like their assets as well and show their money in the bank and those things. If you know that about yourself, I don't need to see it. If you say, hey, I have $70,000 in the bank, there's no reason to come waste your time, sit here and lie to me about how much you have in the bank. Some people say their credit score is good and they already know it and know what it is. Some people aren't sure, and then we can just run your credit right then. I just don't like running credit for no reason, because running it too many times lowers your score. Okay, so run too many times. Yes. There was another question. Yes.
I have a question. Why is that you guys already approved the building and other banks did not?
Okay, it really comes back to, the question was, why did we, approve the building and not other banks? If you think about it from a bigger bank standpoint, most of their loans get closed and sold to Fannie Mae the next day. The big ones, like Chase, you think Chase keeps their loans, they don't. Citibank don't. Wells Fargo too. They either have the government who likes to buy as many as possible, or they have other investors who buy their loans as well. So because of that, there's criteria that the government set up and the one that Island House doesn't make to start is that the sponsor can't own more than 10% of the number of units, okay? And the reason that, and there's another one that only a business can't own more than 20% of the units, of the total units, okay? If you think about it, it's like, well, why is that rule that way? Okay, why they do that? It's really because if that person or entity has financial trouble, it might affect the financial health of that whole building, okay? And it's easier to see with the business one. Like here there's a building in Queens that like Sloan Kettering owns like 60% of, okay? Even if they defaulted, like the doctors would buy up half those units and other people would buy those units up in 3 months and we'd still be safe. But if it was a building in Detroit where GM owns 80% of the units, GM goes under, that building's going under. And a lot of other places in the United States, that would be true. If that factory near the building goes under, all the workers are leaving. So that building will go under. So that's why these rules are in place. However, if we're not lending to you, we don't have to follow that guideline about the 10%, the sponsor's only 10%. And that's why we can lend in that. And another thing too, a lot of banks don't want to have a 3.75 mortgage on their books for 30 years that you can't get rid of. You know, and then as a banker, if I'm Joe Blow from Chase and I do a 3.75 mortgage, you know, 5 years from now the rate's 8%. I can't get that mortgage off my books. It's on for 30 years. You're not going anywhere. You got 3.75%. That mortgage could be 5, 8, whatever. And the other thing is, if that mortgage goes under, you know, it looks bad for the bank as well. So the bank has the risk for 30 years, this low rate for 30 years. And really, they don't want it, you know, and no way to get rid of that loan. Where we're trying to make us, you know, stand in the community. And if you look, you get paid a lot of interest up front too on those 30-year mortgages. So that's where the bank's making their 3%. You know, you're getting like 1% or less at the bank. So the bank makes the money on that too. And plus making relationships in the community. A lot of you have, you know, opened up accounts and things here too, which has been nice. Yes?
Considering the insider price and the selling price
Yes.
for insiders,
Mm-hmm.
if we give 10% down, do you still charge the PMI insurance? Do we
No.
still have to pay the PMI?
You have to put 10% more down.
Even though we can sell it at double the rate?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. The way it works in mortgage world, it's the appraised price or the selling price. The lower of those two is what's considered the value, so to speak, for the mortgage. Okay, so it has to be 20% total, 10 and 10 to get this mortgage. Yes?
In order to get the approval letter from the bank, we have to put the 10% down, or?
No, you meet, the question is, you have to put the 10% down in order to get the approval letter. No, you meet first with us, so you know that you can get the loan. Then that's how the process would go. Then you'd give them the money, they'd work up the contract, you know. Then we would go put the, you know, send an appraiser, get all your, you know, get your additional documents that's needed. You know, 2 months, in general, it's 2 months of bank statements, okay, is needed. 1 month of pay stubs. Your 2 last years W-2s or taxes, okay, depending on, you know, if you just get a straight W-2 job, you can just get W-2s. It's taxes if you don't have that. You know, I would need a copy of your driver's license, because there's, or government ID, and the contract that they give you, and then a copy of your assets, as far as like, if you have money in a Charles Schwab account or, you know, something else. Some of you also would have to provide a gift letter that we give out. You know, if someone's giving you money for the down payment as well as part of the equation. And I don't know, if you own other properties, they'd have to ask for some documents about them too, about their taxes, etc. But for this group in general, this is the big purchase for most. Green jacket, please.